Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kim. Live to be well. How are you this evening? Well, it's been a busy weekend and prior week. So much going on in the world. But I'm just excited because October is Breast Cancer Month. And why am I excited? Because I'm still here. I am still here to celebrate 7 years of being breast cancer free. Tonight, we're going to talk about how health meets hope. Health meets hope. And if you know someone who's been through breast cancer or you yourself is going through it, chat with us and let us know, and that we can pray for you, celebrate with you, and knowing that you're not alone. The most important factor that I have learned during this journey of health and hope is being tested. You must be tested. So tonight we're going to talk about stronger than the struggle. You know, we have struggles every day in our lives. We hear about it on the news. We talk about it on the internet. It's so many different struggles. But do you realize that you must and you are stronger than your struggle? And I like to believe that I'm stronger through my struggle because of my relationship with Jesus Christ. And that there's nothing more important than soul salvation for me. So I'm excited to be able to come before you. And you may have suffered another type of or encountered another type of cancer. And it may not be breast cancer, but You have gone through, some source of cancer or illness, but you're still here. And what about those that we have lost through the struggle? Well, we want to encourage their families to know that God is still with you and we're still praying for you. I want to bring in my co host, ML6. How are you doing? How are you?
I'm
Can hear
well.
you.
How's
There you
everybody?
go.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Honey, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So we're celebrating. How many years for you, ML6? How
It's
many years?
12 years for me. 12.
Years, 12 years. I still remember the phone call that we received April 8th, 2013. I still remember that phone call. Praise the Lord, Sister Vanessa. Yes, praise the Lord. And I still remember the phone call. You got on the phone with Daddy, and Daddy said, "What? I'm coming, I'm coming." And I said, "Let me speak to you. Let me speak to her." And then when you told me, what had been the diagnosis. So let's talk about how your struggle has helped you to deal with who you are today. Who is Micha ML6? Who is she?
Well, I think more than anything, once you go through something, any type of illness, be it breast cancer, be it liver cancer, stomach cancer, any type of illness, you really start to realize and come to an understanding of what's important and what isn't important. You also put yourself in a position to really test your own strength, be it mentally, physically, emotionally, and most important, spiritually,
Mhm.
because you actually are in a place where you have to depend on not just yourself. You have to learn to trust others. You have to learn to be mindful. You have to learn to what to protect, and more than anything, you have to really learn to trust in God to help carry you through. I don't know what it's like for anyone to go through anything and not have a relationship with God. I don't know how they do it. That is something that I could never understand because that isn't me. But I know for me, being as though for those of you, many of you know, many of you don't know, but at the top of 2013, that was also one of my requests. You know how people have New Year's resolutions. I didn't do a resolution that year. I did more of a prayer for God to strengthen certain areas in my life. And
Mhm.
the areas that I asked him to strengthen was that of just help me to have more faith in you. I just
Mhm.
wanted to really increase my faith in God and to not grow weary in my well doing. Now, that doesn't mean that fast forward 12 years at now, present day, that I don't struggle with my faith. But it's one of those things that I saw what God did. And if I know that he can do that, then although it may be a trying season for me now, present day, I do know what he's done before. And I do believe that he is the God of an encore. So,
Mhm.
when you are going through something and you are struggling and you still find strength in the struggle, I
Oh yeah.
think that it really is a true testament of God's hand on your life. Now, this doesn't mean that, well, somebody say, well, what happens to those that may not have necessarily made it? Here's the
Right.
thing, their journey is complete. They did get their healing. They may
Mhm.
not have gotten in a physical form, but they will get it on the
Mhm.
other side
On the
in a
other side.
body new.
Mhm.
And so that is always my response to that. I don't think because I survived cancer that I'm any better than my dad or my grandmother who
Mhm.
didn't survive it. What I do know is that when I see them again and I live my life or I try my best to live my life,
Mhm.
the thought of I want to see them again.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
want them to see, I want
Yeah.
to see them in a body made new.
Oh yeah.
I have that in the forefront of my mind. Do I
Yeah.
make mistakes? Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
human. I
Yeah.
am a sinner saved by grace. But in
Yeah.
the forefront of my mind is I want to see my dad again. I want to see my grandmother again. I
Yeah.
want to see my uncles again. I want
Yeah.
to see friends again.
Yeah.
And so for me, as I've journeyed through and I've dealt with survivor remorse, and I've dealt with so many different things along this journey. Um, gain a level of strength in different areas, and where
Mhm.
one area and aspect of strength is weak,
Yeah.
another one stays strong, and it's almost like a balance. It's like a balance beam, almost
Yeah.
like when you get stable, and it's like, okay, wait, but then, okay, wait, it's like that. So that is
Mhm.
my answer, and as it pertains to that.
Well, I'm so proud of my child. And I remember when I called her, for those who don't know the story, I went in for my annual checkup. And they called me 2 days later, said you need to come back in. And this was in 2018. Now, remember, I just laid my husband to rest in 2016. And so I was like, okay. And then they called me back and did a biopsy. And then my doctor, Dr. Sharon Miller, called me and said, she was crying on the phone. I said, we're not going to do that. Tell me what's going on. And she said, it's malignant. You have cancer. And then I prayed, got off the phone. I said, and she told me what we're going to do next. She said, we're going to get this cancer out of you. I called Micha, and Micha, she just got silent. And she said, I just pray. My prayer is that you don't have to go through what I have gone through, Mom. Now, let's talk about what you went through. What was the process that you went through, Micha?
Okay, so I had been going to the doctor prior to for several months. Was having issues with my cycle, and we were trying to figure out like what birth control I needed to be on that would best help me, because it was out of order. It was just out of order. Now, I've always had a very heavy cycle since I started my cycle. It has been insane. I'm talking about my dad would have to come pick me up from school, and it was just like
On the floor.
soaking my feet in hot water, pain, crying, tears. I've always had.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got on the birth control, that was the reason I did get on the birth control,
Mm-hmm.
was to minimize my cramps. And I know a lot of people saying, well, oh, well, did that cause your cancer? That has not been proven. So I'm not here to like put a fact on that. That was not proven in any way, shape, or form. So I was going to the doctor, doing all of these things, and it led up into my annual, which was in April. And I get my annual every year. Why? Because it's an annual.
Yeah.
So I go get my annual, and I'm laying back on that that bed, and they're doing the nurses doing the feel around, and she says, "Do you do your breast checks?" Now, the reality of the situation is most women don't. They may do it every so often, but not on a regular
Mm-hmm.
type thing. And I didn't. I was like, I mean, sometimes. And so she was just like, And so I'm like, She calls my doctor in, Dr. Reedy, and they doing, and they're kind of looking, and they're taking notes. And I'm looking like, what's really going on?
Mm-hmm.
And they tell me that they need me to go to get a mammogram. And I'm like, at the time, I didn't even know how to spell mammogram, to be perfectly honest, everyone. And so, they write down where they want me to go. They tell me all the things. And then I leave the paper at the doctor's office. That's just so how displaced that I was. They called me and they say, Miss Logan, you left the paper, you have an appointment today, here's where you need to go. So I go get a mammogram, and it's just like this whole process. I've never experienced this ever in my life. I've never seen this machine before. I didn't even like the color pink. I didn't know what was what. And so we go through this process, and I'm a easy 34C. That was my breast size. And they're like, lift me up and pushing it down. I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, they say they have to do a biopsy. I go in for a biopsy. Didn't know what that was. I remember calling one of my friends, one of my best friends, and I said, Angela, have you ever had a biopsy? She said, no, but I've had friends have them, and they say it's no big deal, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. So I'm not thinking anything of it. And then fast forward, that was on a Thursday. So they told me that they would have the results on a Monday. I'm at work. I'm on air. My phone rings. I answer because no way they're telling me that it's anything bad. I answer, the doctor's on the phone, and I hear concern in her voice, and I also hear disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And so she tells me, she says, we did two samples. One of the samples were clear, but the other sample is not. I need you to come here today as soon as possible. And then I just stopped really listening because, I'm on the phone, I'm on air, I still have to finish my shift. And I've just been told that I have cancer at the age of 31. And so I immediately got off the phone with her and I called my pastor at the time, Pastor AD, who you all have seen on these episodes. We just had him on a couple of weeks ago with his mom. And he was my pastor at the time. And he was like, Six, you have to call your mom. And I was like, I can't call my parents because we had already gone through so many other things. We had fires and my grandmother had just, gotten into remission. It was just a lot that was going on in our family. And I was like, this is just too much. And so I remember calling my parents, and like my mom said, I talked to my dad. He was like, let's get on the plane. I was like, no, I just need you guys to wait. At the time, my Aunt Renee, my grandmother, and my two cousins, they were living in Huntsville. So I just called them to meet me at the breast doctor. I went and told my boss. He knew when he saw my face because he had just lost his mom. And he had known that I'd been going to the doctor. And so as soon as he said, you can go home. And I was like, I'll keep you posted. I go to the doctor. I don't hear anything, everyone. Like, I don't hear a word. Luckily, my grandmother and my Aunt Renee were amazing note takers. I'm sitting there like, what did I do to get this? That was my initial thought. What did I do to get this? Who did I do something to get this? And so, they're doing all the conversation. I just remember my doctor crying because I was her youngest patient that she had ever experienced to have breast cancer. She was looking at my charts and it wasn't making sense as to how I even got there, like at all. And I remember she prayed with my family and it was a lot and everything happened so fast. And it was actually started in May, Mom, not April. It was May when I found out. And so find out in May, and by June, first week of June, I am getting my first chemo treatment. And that's when my parents came down, and they came down for the first half of my treatment until I told them that they didn't have to come anymore, that it was okay. I had a strong community support in Huntsville.
You did.
Really up and showed out for me. And I was at a point where I got past the first half and I felt like I could talk about it. And let me tell you all something. There are times in your life when you go through things where you do not necessarily have to talk about it with people. What happened? I remember one lady of the church, and I know she loves me with her whole heart, but I remember her getting on the phone with me while I was still at the breast doctor. I was in the parking lot, and she says, "Don't worry about it. You'll find a man. Just get those things cut off." I wasn't even thinking about that.
Wow.
I wasn't even thinking about it. And so this is when I had to call my mom. I said, please don't tell anybody else. I don't need you to tell anybody else because you have to take time to process things for yourself.
True.
When you get like this, yes, people love you and they want to pray for you and they want to do all these amazing things for you. But the one thing I think people forget is to let people sit in it for a second and just understand for themselves what's going on. And that's what I needed to do. And it wasn't until I got on the phone with Janice Vanderhorst, Auntie Janice. She called me and she said, this is what you're not about to do.
Right.
She said, you're not about to sit in this apartment of yours and be sad. She said, you're going to fight. She was like, you got something that you got to fight. And what I didn't know was I didn't know that she was a survivor. Yes. And what I ended up finding out was there were so many women that I grew up with that were survivors, but it was such a taboo conversation. Yes. And I couldn't understand why wasn't anybody talking about their survival.
Right.
You have all of these amazing women in church and they're not speaking about their survival. Not understanding like these stories are healing. And then that's when I made a commitment to myself that no matter how old I got, my story, I'm going to
share your story. Share your story. Listen, I am here with ML6. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin. Come on, jump into the conversation. If you know someone, hi, Thomas Micha, God bless you, that's been through breast cancer. Hi, Carmen. Good evening, sweetheart. Who has been through something in the struggle. Hey, Rochelle. Hey, sweetheart. Hope you made it back safely. People who are going through this, we're talking about this. You have to be stronger than the struggle. How health can meet hope. So, Micha, how important is testing, getting tested?
So early detection definitely saves lives. And there were certain things that were going on in my body that I wasn't aware of, that I saw on a regular basis, but I wasn't aware of. Like I had an inverted nipple, and I thought that I was something that happened, birth defect or as I was getting older. But what I found out later was that inverted nipple was an indicator that I had a tumor growing inside of me.
Mm.
What? So paying attention to your bodies. I tell husbands all the time, pay attention to your wife's body. Know it. Ladies, know your body. Stop being scared to look and know your body. Because here's the thing. You have to know your body so much so that when you go into a doctor's office, there's nothing that they're telling you that seems like crazy and weird. You can go and say, no, I feel this pain right here. I know my body. This pain is not normal. And
That's right.
especially as Black women, we have to literally advocate for ourselves. Now, I had great doctors, but majority of Black women have to advocate for themselves in every situation, especially with our health, because they feel like we are the strongest, that all we need is a little ibuprofen and they can send us on our way. No, if you don't run me the same medication that you will give such and such, because I am in pain too. Stop playing with me.
Mm.
We have to advocate for ourselves. So this is why I say, know your bodies. Not only know your body, but know your family history. Understand your family history. Ask the questions. I say this when I speak. Most times we don't find out about our family history until somebody dies. Well, what they die of?
Right.
Well, what happened? How they get that? No, sit down with your family. Whoever the oldest member of your family is, sit down with them and get some family history. Get some knowledge. Now, we took all the tests. I took every gene test.
Yes.
Nothing came back, despite the fact that, yes, we had an aunt that had brain cancer. We had another aunt that had
leukemia.
Yeah, but that was after I was diagnosed. Well, we're not really sure how long Aunt Rachel had it. So although there were different variables of cancer throughout my family, when I took the gene test, breast cancer, those gene tests came back clear, which is another reason why my doctors were confused. And then that's when I had to tell them, hey, hold off. This is not anything that you all can figure out. This is something between me and God. Me and God got to work through this. And when I told them that, it kind of took them aback. But when they saw how my journey went and how my healing went and my attitude when I would go give blood or had to because I didn't get a port. I did everything through my veins. My veins are trash now, but that's okay. Because I didn't want something in me. That was my choice. I didn't want something in me that I had to see every day that reminded me of that. So I just, my veins took it for the team. But they saw how I interacted with other patients. They saw the love that I received when people came to sit with me for my treatments. And that literally helped them to understand me and my journey a little bit better.
Amen.
And so early detection saves lives, getting that family history, knowing your bodies. Stop being afraid to feel around on your bodies, okay?
And
Stop being
and it's not just women, men too. You need to know your body. Because men get breast cancer. Men get breast cancer
too. So if you are a man out there and your mother died from breast cancer, your aunt died from breast cancer, this is your opportunity for you to say, hey, wait a minute. Let me make sure that I'm checking my chest and going to the doctor and making sure I'm okay. If your mother, your aunt, or your grandmother has died or been diagnosed with breast cancer and you are a man, you too can get it.
You're at risk. You are at risk. Let's talk about inverted nipples. Do you know if it's cancer sign to men mainly women? Ms. Bevel, I got my inverted nipples. Do you know if it's a cancer sign in men too, or mainly women?
I think that it's both. I do think
Mm-hmm.
that it's both. I think that it's something that needs to be checked out. It is not something that needs to be sat on because that's not normal. That's not what it's supposed to be. So
Mm-hmm.
it may not be cancer, but it's something.
It's something. Something's going
It's
on.
something that's
Mm-hmm.
abnormal.
Okay. When we talk about being resilient, oh yes, my cousin was diagnosed at the age of 30. Wow.
Congratulations to your cousin.
Oh, God, all
And
right,
this is why I said no matter how old I get, I'm going to always encourage young women under 40 to go get tested, because they'll tell you that you're not supposed to get tested
mm-hmm.
to till you get, yes, know your body. They'll tell you that you're not supposed to get tested to 45 plus. If I would have waited till 45, I would be in the ground by now. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't go get my annuals, I wouldn't be here by now. And this is why I say young women, especially young women, if you feel anything that's off, go get checked. Don't let them tell you, oh, you're just too young. Absolutely not. I'm not too young. I'm not too young. I am old enough to tell you that this is what I need. Therefore, I'm old enough for you to go ahead and make this appointment and get
Mm-hmm.
me. Advocate for yourself. Use your voice. Because the reality of the situation is, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Black women, we die more from breast cancer.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
We die more from breast cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is why it's so important that we have to have conversation amongst ourselves and encourage each other to
Mm-hmm.
go and do your self checks before and after your cycle if you still have one. Feel around, see what's up. Talk to your friends. I was sitting with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting in Huntsville at Stanley's. They came to see me, and I was sitting there quiet, and I was just thinking about the day. And I looked around and I counted the table, and it was 8 of us at the table, and I was the 1 in 8. 1 in 8 women get breast cancer. I was the 1 in 8 at the table.
At the table. Isn't that something?
The statistic did not lie.
Hmm. So it's very important that we get tested. It's very important to feel and understand your body, what's going on with your body. And don't be afraid to have a conversation with your physician. I want to talk about stress management during what we went through, Micha, the stress levels. We're trusting God. Now, listen to me, people. We're trusting God in our family. We're believing God. We have been believers. We're 4th, 5th generations of Christians raised in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Listen, but when that thing hit, all I went in was mama mode. I went into mama mode. And I'll never forget, Camille was driving down the street, and she saw me, and she did a U-turn, came back, got out, and just hugged me. She said, we're here for you. We're here for Micha. And Micah's village would fly down. Ryan, Ania, Camille, Melissa, they would go down. Ashley, they would go down and be with her. Mickey, people who were already there in Huntsville were there to support her. And again, the conversation became so open and wide. Who was the newscaster that reached out to you and we came down and walked at her breast cancer walk? Who was
Liz
that?
Hurley. So Liz Hurley, at the time, Liz Hurley, she had been the only media advocate for breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was diagnosed, it was me and it was another woman at a radio station. Her name has escaped me, but she was so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But Liz Hurley came up to me and she said to me, she came to the station and she said to me, you have to talk to Black women. She was like, I can talk to them, but they're not going to hear it the way they're going to hear it from you. She was like, you're in a position to really talk to your community. And it was, I understood what she was saying. I wasn't offended. I understood wholeheartedly what she was saying. And she was right. She was right. I remember so many Black women coming to the race and thereafter showing their faces at the Liz Hurley ribbon run. It's so many Black women. And I'm not to say, I don't want to take complete credit for that, because I do believe that there were Black women definitely, but I do feel that my openness, my honesty, and me really rallying and doing my best to rally the community that I serviced really helped people to engage and be a part. and to show for other Black women to know that there are other Black women in this community that are going through it. I felt that was so important, of having your village. I had an amazing village. They did a service for me where they came and anointed my head. And when I tell you, Damian Chandler poured that entire bottle of oil over my head, because everyone in my life, I was a greasy mess, but everyone in my life was so serious about my healing. The prayer warriors were activated. And I do believe that they showed up from, and here's the thing, it wasn't just the Adventist community. It was different. It was other churches in Huntsville that were very much active in making sure and praying for me and making sure that I was okay. Like, it was phenomenal to see. And I do believe that's unity. When you're going through stuff, like, there's a moment to take time for yourself and to wrap your head around it. But then there's a moment to embrace your community and allow the right community. And that was my prayer, that the right people were involved and helpful in my community. And the ones that weren't able to be a part, that's okay. I wasn't offended by them. I didn't take it personal. This just isn't a part of, it's okay. We can link back in on the other side. And I'm not going to feel like, oh, you weren't with me when I was shooting in the gym. No, it wasn't like that. Like, if you were going to bring me stress, because it wasn't my responsibility to make you feel better about what I was going through. Hear me when I say, it is not your responsibility to make anybody feel better about what you're going through. What you're going through is enough. Is enough. I remember there was a time when my mom, to keep it transparent as we do, I remember my mom was calling me. I just didn't have it in me. And she caught an attitude with me. You understand me? You just can't text me back. You just can't. And I didn't have it. I did not. She didn't understand. I remember when I cut my hair, she was upset.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother did not talk to me for like a week.
Was it a week? It was not a week.
My hair is falling out. And I called my dad, and my daddy was like, go to the barbershop, take somebody with you, and you're going to be my little chocolate drop. And I went to the barbershop and I cried. I'm calling my mom and she just not answering the phone. I'm calling my cousin Jaleesa and she's like, your mom is just having a hard time. My mama did not have my back when I cut my hair.
Why you gotta bring that up? Why you always gotta bring that story up?
She said, do you have to do that? And I'm like, ma'am, I have a ball of hair in my hand. What do you mean do I have to do it? But she didn't understand. And because she was fearful, and I had to take a moment after everything and to really grasp and understand that she's literally watching her child go through something that she cannot fix. She can't fix this for me.
I'm always gonna fix it.
She can't come in and make me feel better. And she can't, there isn't a dollar amount that she could even possibly pay to make me feel better. And it was hard for her. So in her mind, she comes to Huntsville, I do my treatments, let's immediately go to the mall and let me get her a new purse, not realizing that I need to be in bed. But because I knew that it was hard for her, there was me. And I remember one time we were at the mall and I was saying, Kim, I need to get my baby home. And my mom was just running around that mall, Kim. Like, because I'm literally hanging on. I'm just finishing chemo and I'm out at Parisian.
But remember one time we said, well, we're going to go get ice cream. And we had to clean out your car and everything. Now, again, our mama trying to fix things and help her to feel better. And we drove up and now we had been there the day before. She had picked out something, but we just looking, she didn't know we had purchased the car. And the man said, go clean out your car. She said, why? Just clean it out. And they rolled the other car around and I said, this is for you. Daddy and I got you this. You know,
Because in their mind, they wanted to make sure that I was able to get to my appointments and
appointment,
that
I order
was
safe.
driving, that was safe, that I could
And
get to my appointments. And I was very grateful. I
no,
love that
no,
God. That God got me to and from.
I know.
But it sometimes it's hard for people to understand what you're going through because they love you, they care about you, they want the best for you. But
Yeah.
because they're not necessarily in your shoes, they
Mhm.
don't understand. And let me also say this. I would not wish this on anyone. And so when my mother called me years later and she told me about her diagnosis, my prayer was that she would not have to go through what I went through. That was my prayer. Point blank period. Okay, if this is where we are, this is where we are. But God, please don't make her go through what I went through. And God answered my prayer. But my mother did come back around and she did apologize to me because although hers was not the same, she had her own journey. It wasn't the easiest journey. And so she came back and apologized to me for her behavior. um, because she got a glimpse. She got a glimpse.
I did. I did get a
Um,
glimpse.
and so, and I didn't hold it against her or anything like that.
No.
At the time, I was hurt, yeah, but
Mm.
maturity and just again,
Charge it to
I'm
my
better.
heart, not my head. Charge it to my
I'm
heart.
better. And I also took into consideration that me going through what I went through was also preparation for me to be an advocate for my grandmother. Because
Oh,
although
yeah.
my
Oh, yeah.
grandmother had uterine cancer,
Yes.
and before I was diagnosed, my grandmother went into remission.
Right.
After after I was cleared, went into remission, my grandmother's came back worse. And this go round, she had to go through chemo. And no one had gone through chemo in my family but me. So when it came to the hard questions and
Mhm.
how she was feeling when the time period that she did go through it, I was the one to be able to communicate what was going on and when
Enough
enough
is
was
enough.
enough. And so even in that, I saw God. Even in that,
Thank
I
you.
saw God. When my father got
Mhm.
sick, when my father got sick, I saw God in that because I was able to be empathetic to him in a way in which, again, this was during the time period. My mom, she's watching her husband and she's not understanding. Okay, I've just gone through this with my daughter. I went through this with my mother, our aunt. She's like we found out about my aunt Rachel probably on a Thursday, and by like that Sunday, it was like within 3 or 4 days.
It
She
was
was a
gone.
lot. So then here's my mom watching my dad go through this and not knowing, he's losing weight, he's sick. And I remember one time my mom was so stressed out. Oh, she was so stressed out. And she was taking care of him. And I come home for the weekend and she just got so angry because she just was like, I just don't understand why you just can't get up and do anything. I just don't understand why you just can't get up and do anything. You can do it. You're not that sick. And I was just like,
Mhm.
but because she hadn't gone
Mhm.
through it. And because she was scared and she did not know how to communicate her fear, it reverted into anger. It reverted in nothing's wrong with you. You're fine. And in her mind, because she's in her mind thinking about or not trying to think about the possibility of what life would be without him. And she's looking at him every single day. And in her mind,
Mhm.
she's like, get up, get up. I need you to get up. You got to da da da. But in the inside, daddy didn't understand what he was going through. And I remember I just had to be there with my dad. And I told my mom, hey, I need you to just.
Mhm.
And it was hurtful for my dad. But he also understood that it was hard for her. Because the rest of daddy didn't want to leave us. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Daddy did not want to leave us at all. But he was sick. And
Right.
he didn't know. We didn't know. We found out daddy was sick in September and he was gone. No, we found out he was gone. He was sick in
April. April.
August.
April.
Yeah, but they
April
didn't diagnose him. They diagnosed him with the bile duct though in August.
and August, September, and he was gone in October.
August, September, and he was gone. Yeah, that's when they diagnosed him. So yeah, so all of these things. When I say that to say that you don't necessarily know, and the stress. I believe that the stress that my mom was under from everything from me, my grandmother, my aunt Rachel, my dad. That then she gets diagnosed. I wholeheartedly believe that the stress that was in her literally caused and created her stage 1.
Mhm.
And stress is real. And they tell you when you go to the doctor, they say, hey, what stress is in your life? If there's any stress in your life, get it out, remove it, because you got to get better. And so this is why we tell you all to live to be well. It's not just in what you eat, it's not just in what you think, it's even in the people that you have around you. What is
Oh
your
yeah.
environment like? Is it
Right.
stressful?
Right.
Because that
Right.
stress will lead to illness.
It will lead to illness. It will. I know I was doing a counseling session today and a 2 hour session. And last week I had a 3 hour session. And it was so stressful. All I could do was come home, sit on the couch, and exhale.
Mhm.
It took me a minute to just exhale.
Mhm.
Stress is real, anxiety, depression, because it's a part of grief. When you're diagnosed with any terminal illness, you're going to go through a grieving process. Because the first thing you go through is that I'm going to die, or I'm sick, or what do I do? How much time do I have left? You think about all
Mhm.
these things, and it causes you to be so stressed. It causes you to deal with your life differently because now you're dealing with turmoil. And then, like my daughter said earlier, what is really important in my life now? And you have a different perspective about things in your life, stress and people around you. When I was diagnosed, my pastor, Dwayne Duncombe, said, you need a support group. And I never forget Sandia Henry, Dr. Juanita Martin, Nettie Gray, Beverly King, Elder Beverly King, put their and Tanya Liggins put their arms around me every morning at 6:30 a.m. We had a prayer group. We talked. We had a prayer devotional book. I sent them this book, God's Promises for Your Every Need, and we would read out of this book every morning. We finished the book. We finished the entire book. In 3 years, we went through book after book after book. And there's no greater healing than the Word of God. And one of the best Bibles my husband ever gave me was the Life Recovery Bible. You talking about a powerful Bible that will empower your life and impact your life. Everyone needs to have this Bible. He went through substance abuse, and this is one of the Bibles that he was given. And he said, Kim, you need to get this Bible. When I was going through shopping addiction, and when I had to go through some things dealing with that, this Bible brought me through my shopping addiction. And I've been using it ever since. You can tell I wear this
Mhm.
Bible out. I wear it out. But I thank God because my husband signed the book. He said this Bible is to our home, Arthur and Kim Nolan and Micha, August 8th, 1996. We blessed our home with this Bible to the three of us. Now, stress is real. We know that people go through stress differently. You have stress eaters, stress shoppers, gambling. You have binge TV. You have binging at the with pornography. You have addiction with pornography. People deal with stress. They take out on their jobs. They deal with it in a violent manner. So you have to understand that through the grace of God, that you have to learn how to manage your stress. Now, setbacks. Let's talk about setbacks. I don't know, Mike, if I look at it as a setback, but 3 years later, after getting diagnosed with the breast cancer, I'm coughing, I'm coughing, I'm coughing. 18, 19, 21, 22. And I don't know why this cough, but I do remember my mother having this cough. I remember my mother's cough. And I knew something was wrong. And I said, okay, let me go to the doctor. And like Micah said, if you see or you hear or you feel something that's wrong, don't sit on it. Go and get tested. Find out what it is. So come to find out, they did a CAT scan. Then they did a CAT scan with contrast. And I'm like, what is going on? They did a laryngoscope to make sure there was no cancer in my throat. That came back negative. So I said, well, what is it? I had a colonoscopy, came back clear. I did every test I could. And about 2 weeks later, my primary doctor, brought me in, Dr. Allen, and he said to me, I need you to see a specialist. And Dr. Muhammad said, okay, we're going to do this. We came, he brought me back in, Dr. Muhammad, and he said, you have a pulmonary virus. I'm like, what? What is this? Now you're talking about a setback. I went through the breast cancer and radiation and medication for 5 years, rang the bell. I'm free. I'm cancer free. Now, 3 years later, I'm coughing, pulmonary virus. And I'm like, and I said, where did that come from? And Dr. Muhammad said to me, because of the scar tissue, when you go through radiation, the scar tissue has to go somewhere. And your scar tissue went to your lungs. And I'm like, what? He said, it's in your right lower lung. That means your oxygen is now only 50%, where it used to be 100%. So the way you used to walk and run and roller skate and all that, you're going to have to learn how to make adjustments. And so now he gave me this inhaler. I have never been on medication. I've been healthy all my life. Only time I've been in the hospital when I gave birth to my children and when I broke my patella, okay, my knee in Bermuda. And so he said, you're going to have to use the inhaler. Now, I was stubborn. I was like, I'm not doing this, okay? I'm fine. I'm convincing myself I'm fine. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I'm coughing. I can't breathe. I'm choking. I almost died 3 times. Coughed so much. I'm talking seriously setbacks here that the food got lodged in my esophagus. And I'm standing in this room by myself in this entire home, and I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. And I'm gasping for air. Dear God, don't let me die like this. 3 times it happened. And it happened when we were in Las Vegas because I realized I can't eat spicy foods. So I eat some potatoes, but it's full of spices. And it got lodged in my throat. And it took an Army officer to come over, do the Heimlich maneuver, and it came out. And what a way to start and I was one of the speakers in Las Vegas. So, and they even announced it that this woman saved Dr. Kim Logan's life. She did. So I'm here to let you know that I have a pulmonary virus, sarcoidosis. And I said to Micha, that's what Bernie Mac died from. And she said, no, Bernie Mac had pneumonia, which also impacted what the sarcoidosis did to him. So pre-existing illness, I had breast cancer. Now I have this. Now, what's interesting, I went to the doctor about a month ago because I'm coughing again. And Micha says, put me on the phone with the doctor. See, I have an issue. Al and everybody that's listening, Carmen, Thomas, everybody, Rochelle, when does it happen when your children become your parent? I missed it, the transition of Micha becoming my mother, okay? And then she said to the doctor, the inhaler that you have her on is not working. And my mother is not going to tell you that. And I wasn't. I was not going to tell him. Why? Because I did not want to even address another type of medication. And he said, I'm going to move your medication to 5 milligrams, and I'm going to give you a different type. I got home. I used that inhaler, and I thought I was a brand new woman. I was a brand new woman. I could sleep at night. I could eat. I didn't have to puree my food like I used to. And I still have to do a lot of puree my food and smoothies and things because I have to, I'm not fearful, but I just sometimes get concerned about will my food get lodged in my esophagus or my trachea. And so with that, I feel so much better. Yes, I do lose, air, like right now, some of my air because I've been talking, but I have to pace myself. But that has been a setback. I don't know. Is it a setback or is it another victory for God that I'm still here? And I never forget a woman said to me, we were at Camille Romaine's baby blessing for her son, her youngest son. And someone came upstairs in the living room, and they spoke to me and they said to me, I know you've been through a lot, losing your mother. Your daughter got breast cancer. And Micha was there at the Sabbath dinner, and losing your mother, your husband. Now you going through this. No, this was before, because this was 2017. And she said to me, let me ask you a question. Did Job ever know? Did he ever know what he went through? And I said, no. Did Job ever, he questioned God, and God said, when did you put the moon in the sky, the stars, the sun? Who are you to question my ability? And Job said, I'm not anyone. And so the woman said to me, instead of saying, woe is me, why me, why me? She said, why not me? Why not me? And I said, that's going to be my theme. So, Carmen, was it a setback, or was it another victory, another opportunity to be able to praise God and give God the victory? Because, my Bible tells me that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, he shall direct their path. Tonight, Mike and I wanted to just give a pathway into Breast Cancer Month as we come on week after week after week as we talk about breast cancer. And also, this is Domestic Violence Month, and we have a very special guest coming on with us at the end of the month to talk about that. But when we are dealing with understanding our bodies, the language that we speak, you have to, let me tell you, please remove the stress from your life. Remove the stress. Because I've never been sick, no breast cancer in the family outside of Micha. Where did this come from? I agree with Micha. It was triggered by stress. And I lost a lot of weight, not due to the chemo or not due to but I was going through some other issues, stress. So let me say this, I'm healthier now. I exercise. I am plant-based. I love I've been plant-based now going 9 years, and I praise the Lord for that. I do, want to let you know that we have issues that we can talk about throughout. So let me say this, whatever it is your concern, I am here for you. Dr. Kim is here for you. Vanessa, you had a question. Let me hear your question, Vanessa. Let's see. Okay. Dr. Kim, my older sister was a breast cancer survivor for over 10 years. Unfortunately, some years later, she was diagnosed with metastatic bone cancer, stage 4. She made her transition a few years ago. I get my mammogram regularly. Vanessa, my prayers are with you and your family. And I'm so happy that you are getting your regular testing. I am so glad. Micha, you want to come back in and address this for Vanessa also? Oh, Vanessa, I know this was not easy. So, while we're waiting on ML6 to come back in, what do we need to do? Number 1, we need to make sure we get tested. Number 2, remove all unnecessary stress in your life. Ask God to reveal to you what is going on in your support. Get a support group, a strong support group. Make sure you're eating healthy. Make sure you go to your doctor. If something's not right, doesn't feel right, go to the doctor. I'm just going to give you another example. We're going to go back to Vanessa's statement. I flew to New Jersey a few weeks ago, came home, and my ear wouldn't open. My right ear wouldn't pop open. My left ear was fine. So 1 week, 2 weeks, and my daughter Micha, once again, switching roles. Mom, you have excellent insurance. Go to the doctor, because I'm going to sit here and just try to pop this thing myself. So I go to the ENT, got a referral from my doctor, Dr. Allen, and I went to see Dr. Clark Dickerson. Amazing. If you're looking for a great ENT in Southfield, Michigan. And he said to me, we're going to do complete testing on your ears, audiologist. I hadn't had one of those tests, Micah, since I was like in the 7th or 8th grade. You go through the beep beeps and the words and the sounds. And come to find out that I have 100% in my left ear, Rochelle, 94% in my right ear. I have fluid that has drained from the coughing and nasal, from the pulmonary virus into my inner ear. And I got water fluid in my inner ear, my station tube. So they put me on amoxicillin, antibiotic. If it doesn't work, then I have to go in and have it drained. So pray for Dr. Kim, please, that the medication will work. That this is very uncomfortable. Micha, let's address Vanessa's statement. Thank God that both of you are still here.
About your sister. Thank you. I too am very sorry about your sister. And some cancers do form even after the fact. And this is why not only do you need to get your mammograms, but you also need to make sure you're getting full body scans. Full body scans as often as you can, as often as your insurance will allow it, full body scans. Because things like to be hidden, they like to just show up out of nowhere. Continue to do your testings, but do not live in fear. Don't live in fear. Live your life, live a full life. I know your sister will want that from you, for you. Right. Just stay on top of your doctor's appointments and know your body. If you feel anything, you don't walk, run to the doctor and advocate for yourself. If I can leave you all as we wrap up today, it went really fast, but as I wrap up today's show, there's two things that I want to acknowledge. To all my government workers out there, I know that you are being faced with a lot right now with the government shutdown and the unknown. Lean on your family, lean on your community. You are not alone. I don't know what the Republicans are doing, but one thing's for sure, two things for certain. They are not thinking about the American people. They are thinking about themselves. Also, if you or someone that you know is dealing with any type of breast cancer, be patient with them. If you are going through it right now, be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. My mom says this: fight and faith go together. Mm-hmm. You got to hold on to them both. Mm-hmm. Fight and faith go together. Mm-hmm. That is what I want to leave you with.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank you so much, Micha. I appreciate you being my co-host. It's a blessing to have my daughter by my side, having my daughter with me. She's also my image consultant, and she's also produced some phenomenal new photos of me that we took back in May that they'll be released starting tomorrow about my journey with breast cancer and how I see myself, and how I view myself. And I thank the Lord for our journey together. I thank God. Let me tell you something, for all my children and my two grandsons. But I thank God for you taking time to listen, to come on, to share. And I appreciate you so much, Vanessa, Carmen, Thomas, Rochelle, all of you that's on. Maybe some of you have been silent tonight, but whatever you do, please get tested. Do not wait or put it off, because your life does matter. It matters to us. It matters to God. And your journey is, let me tell you something, Micha and our journey, I don't know what we would be doing now, but this is our journey together. We have this together. God gave this to a mother and daughter so that we could share and come together and work together and do this together. And we could have done it without the breast cancer, but how God heightened the awareness with us, never knowing that when I was down in Alabama with my husband, walking with her, through Alabama, doing all that with, the Liz Hurley breast cancer walk, that many years later I would have it. Mind your stress. Mind over matter. Mind over matter. Be aware and be confident. Listen, we love you. We look forward to seeing you the week after next as we continue the journey about healing and health and hope. Hope. And remember, our theme this month is going to be that your struggle is strong. You're stronger than your struggle. You are stronger than your struggle. Say it with me. You are stronger than your struggle. I'm Dr. Kim. And Micha, ML6, are you frozen over there?
Micah.
Listen, and listen, we love you. Yeah, you were a little frozen. It's okay. Listen, we love you, and we love you. And remember to live to be well. Good night.
Live to be well. Bye.